Yo, what is up guys? It is Lucidius coming back at you with another storytime video. We're back in the studio. Now, today's video is about a time that I did a plethora of drugs with Methhead Bill. It was definitely a wild night. Not particularly on my part, but more or less on his part. So that's why I decided to come and tell this story. Now, let's just hop right into this. This isn't about me, this is about Methhead Bill. To give a little context about his and mine relationship, it's strange. Well, he's a good friend of mine, but we were really only friends because of drugs. We really related when it came to drugs, and that was our talking point. You know, that's what connected us at the end of the day, was drugs. And we would only really hang out if we were trading drugs or doing drugs together. And on this occasion, it was a bit of both. So one particular day after school, I was feeling a little bit devious, as I normally was back in these days, and he hit me up. And at this time, I was trying to do better, but man, I'm Lucidius. You know who I am. And he hits me up and he lets me know that he's got pharmaceutical Xanax and that he wants to hang out with me. And I instantly jumped on this opportunity because I knew that I could grab some off of him and it would be a good time. The only condition is he wanted to hit my DMT cart. Now I think back on this to this day and I'm so mad that I wasted all my amazing psychedelics on Xanax. And you know, like, it really kills me because I don't have fucking access to any of these psychedelics anymore. I deleted all my connections, and I'll never be able to get some of these things back, and I wish I had just saved them for good times, to be completely honest. But you know, everything happens for a reason. So he hits me up, asks me to hang out. I say, why the fuck not, man? Let me get some Xanax down my gullet. So he picks me up in his nice car. He had a very nice car. He unfortunately doesn't anymore. And we start riding around shooting the shit. I got the DMT cart. I got a shitty little battery. It was Johnny's battery, actually, that he used just for regular THC carts. And we were thinking about, you know, a spot we could go to hit this DMT cart, you know? Like, I was just, you know, I was really, you know, I was down to do this shit. To be honest, I was just trying to get myself some fucking Xanax. Let's go. And he hands me his entire script. He actually was willing to give me it all. He's like, oh yeah, man, I've had enough. I guess he had a shit ton of Valium at home and he was already barred the fuck out on Valium, so he was feeling real nice. He must have took a shit ton of Valium. I don't really like that shit. It takes a lot to get barred out. If you use it for its intended purposes, though, I will say that it's probably one of the best pharmaceutical medications if you were to use pharmaceutical medications. That's kind of up to you, your decision. I got my own personal opinions on that. But yeah, he hands me his whole entire script and I was just delighted, bro. These were the 0.25 milligrams of Xanax, which for me was perfect. It was more than enough. There was about 10 or 12 of them in there, which means I had about like 3 milligrams of Xanax, which was like, man, that's a good day for me. Like that's a few good days, you know? And so I instantly go to pop one, and surprisingly, you guys, Methhead Bill actually told me not to yet. He's like, maybe you should wait. And I was like, wow, you know, that really opened my eyes. I was like, man, this guy's just, Methhead Bill's telling me to take it easy. So I decided to listen to him and see where he wanted to take me first with this DMT cart. And so he took me to this literal fucking crack den. Like, it was the shittiest place. It wasn't actually a building. It was like a trail. But the trail led to like a fenced off electrical box, and that was like it. And then there was just like bushes surrounding it, and there was like rotting fucking raccoons and mattresses and like needles around here. I really questioned whether or not this was Methhead Bill's like hiding spot, because this place was just so fucked. You could tell a lot of degeneracy had gone around here. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if someone told me a couple people died there. I wouldn't be surprised if those raccoons were people and not raccoons. But, you know, drugs, so let's do them at this place. So he sits down on this like shitty crusty mattress. There was no way I was sitting on that thing. Fuck that. And he like tries to get the best view. There was not a single good view in this spot, you know, at all. It was just shit, you know. It was that kind of time of year where it was warm, but the leaves hadn't grown back on the trees yet, so everything just looked like shit. it was not a good spot to do DMT, or a good time in either of our lives to do this shit. And he starts chiefing it, and at first I'm bewildered at how he isn't breaking through, but then he proceeds to tell me how he's on a shit ton of Valium, which he told me earlier, I realized that, but he also told me he was on SSRI medications. And for those of you who don't know, you can't do psychedelics while you're on SSRIs. That's just how it is. SSRIs control serotonin throughout your brain, and psychedelics work on your serotonin receptors, so ultimately you will never trip if you try. You might get some small effects, but you will not get the full experience, and it's just not worth it. Don't take psychedelics if you're on SSRIs. You're wasting them. Nevertheless, I let him go ahead because I just wanted Xanax. I didn't care, and I knew if I took it away, he might take away my script, which I did not want him to do. So I let him fucking chief the fuck out of that. And he only chiefed it once or twice, and the battery died, which was like God's saving grace. I wanted to get the hell out of here, man. He's like, damn, man, do you got another battery at home? And I was like, I might, bro. So we head on back to my house, and at this point I was getting sick of shit, so I had popped a 0.25 just to see how it felt, because I had never taken the recommended dose of Xanax. I had never done it. I'd always just gotten way too barred out, whether it be alprazolam or flualprazolam or lorazepam. I just always got way too barred out. I never used it properly. And in this situation, I thought, what a perfect time to use it, you know? The conversation was getting a little awkward because the only thing we related on was drugs. And as I said earlier, I was actually trying to focus on better things. And yeah, the connection just was starting to fade. So I just decided to pop one of these things, and I felt really great. I'm not gonna lie. I see why people get addicted to these things and how it, you know, can lead you down a slippery slope. I felt really relaxed, euphoric even, which is something I had never felt on benzos. I felt very euphoric. Talking to him was so much easier. And he comes up with a great idea to basically jerry-rig my cart, a DMT cart, to my fucking wall outlet. And he also wanted to do this through the battery. And so he like got some wires. He just chopped up some wires from an old wire bag I had laying around, and like just destroyed my friend Johnny's battery to plug these wires in, only to have this shit just spark everywhere. Like literally just start sparking. Like it was not a good eye. I was like, bro, stop. And at this point he had destroyed the fucking battery. The cart was looking a little rough too. Like I don't even know what happened to it. And I was a little annoyed because this guy was supposed to know his shit. I mean, he was a tech associate with me at Staples. He was supposed to know what to do. And he also was always out back fiddling with computers and shit. So I was really, really unimpressed and honestly annoyed, even off the Xanax, that he had done this shit. Because it wasn't my battery. But I'm like, bro, that wasn't my battery. You low-key destroyed it. He's like, don't worry, man. I'll get you a new one. I'll get you a new one. So we hop in his car while he's off all this Valium and I'm on this Xanax. And we ride downtown. And he starts tweaking. Absolutely tweaking. He parked out front of the cop shop. I don't know why he thought this would be a good idea. It wasn't like nothing happened, but like if you're gonna tweak, why the fuck would you park out front of it? You know, in your Mustang. It's just such a... I don't even really know, man. It's so obvious if he was a known person. I mean, we were just ducks, sitting ducks, you know, and there was a scope on our head. But luckily we were all right. He was tweaking though. He had some bad anxiety. I feel bad. So he walks by, he grabs his battery from like a shitty dispo, and he comes back, and we zip the fuck out of there and go right back to my crib. And he starts chiefing this DMT cart even more, and it ends up running out. And once it runs out, he is still fiending for more. I actually think that song by Travis Scott, Fiend, was 100% made for this guy. This guy was still fiending for more. And I was like, well, man, I got some 2CB. And he's like, really? Like, he was very interested in this shit. Very, very interested in it. So I'm like, yeah, man, like, you want to try some? And he's like, of course. So I give him the baggie, and he pours himself like a fucking, like, I don't know his name, fucking an El Chapo level line, bro. Like, and you're not supposed to do that with 2CB. If you've watched my 2CB story I made before this, then you guys know that this stuff is like active in milligram amounts. You're really only supposed to do bumps of it, and even that can go wrong if you take too big of a bump. And this guy lines him up an El Chapo level line and snorts that shit. And not only, man, he didn't even feel it. He's like, I don't feel shit. I'm not joking. He did not feel shit too. Like, I could tell, like, he was sitting there like chilling, not even eyes not watering, nose wasn't burning. He said there was like a slight sensation. And I was bewildered, so bewildered that I actually had to try some just to figure out whether or not that this shit was bunk or not. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe I got a good crystal in there, or like a good portion of it the night before, or sorry, the story before, not the night before. I was honestly bewildered. So I give myself a little bump, and I am instantly met with the sensation of burning pain. Now, because of the Xanax, I didn't really give a fuck about it. Xanax are not, you know, you guys know, benzos are not opioids. But you know, it's good for pain in the sense you just won't give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck. It hurt. I was like, yeah, that's what I expected. So I had no idea how this guy wasn't in pain, really. And because of the Xanax, I really didn't get any of the psychedelic effects. I'm not even gonna say I tripped. Like, we're not even gonna get into that. And I think I may have popped. No, I didn't pop another one. And he had the bright idea, Methhead Bill, to do it in the forest, which I thought was actually not too bad of an idea. Like, maybe, you know, go in the forest, get some cool visuals, go for a walk, just get us out of this room, you know. The Xanax, it was even hard to see past all the bullshit on the Xanax. So we walk to this trail that I talked about in my getting chased while faded by the cop story. You guys know this trail. There's like tracks in the, like, it's a trail that runs through some tracks, and it's just really secluded because of the tracks, and there's like forest all around it. And it's just a good place to smoke or do really whatever you want. And so we sit on one of these concrete platforms that helps one of the, like, this river that runs beneath the tracks. And he lines himself up another El fucking Chapo line and snorts that shit. And this one, you could tell he felt this. He did it up the other nostril. His right nostril must have been fucked. He does a lot of coke. I don't know if he still does. But his right nostril must have been fucked, because as soon as he snorted up his left, he was like, oh, I felt that. And he started tripping, bro, like tripping. I did another little line and instantly regretted it. It was like pain for no reason. There was no visuals. I couldn't see shit because both my eyes were now watering. And there was just no visuals. There was nothing compared to the original time that I had done it. So I just was unimpressed, and that's why I said I haven't even tripped on it that day. But he was having a jolly old time, and a train came by, because like I said, this was an active rail, and he started getting a little tweaked. I didn't particularly like the sound of this industrial train chugging on through this world, so I decided, well, both of us collectively decided to move down the trail a bit. So that's exactly what we did, and he wanted to do even more. So I think I just told him to do a bump, and he listened to me, and he did another bump, and we just sat on the floor of the forest kind of looking around. He's like, are you all right, man? He was like, I want to preface this, like, Methhead Bill's a really great guy despite the drug use. He's a really good guy. He just needs to get his shit together. But he was making sure I was all right, because I was kind of had my head down, my eyes were watering, I was sniffling. It kind of felt like you could have maybe thought I was crying. Maybe that's what he thought. And there was tears running down my eyes, and we didn't know each other like that, so maybe he thought I was having a bad time. And he was trying to make sure I was okay, and I was like, yeah, don't worry, man, I'm all right. This shit just makes my eyes water. I can't see shit. And he was like, wow, this is beautiful. And he shared the same kind of sentiment that I had the first time that I had done this substance. He's like, this is so beautiful. This is amazing. I guess he was getting some of the effects, even despite all the medications he was on. And he loved it, man. He really loved it. But after a while sitting there, we were like, all right, let's head on home. The sun was setting. It was getting dark. And so we get to my home, and things start to get a little hazier, and more of the Xanax was kicking in. The psychedelics were definitely wearing off, not that they had really kicked in the first place. And he just wanted to do even more. This guy was fiending for more, even more. He ended up finishing that bag of 2CB. And I have no idea, man. There was at least 400 and like 30 milligrams left in there, at least. That was like the minimum. And he did it all, like literally all. Like, I just fucking bewilders me, man. That's like enough dosages to get like your whole classroom fucked up, like 2 classrooms maybe. It was insane, bro, insane. And he's still fiending for more at this point. Now, I don't think I'd popped even any more Xanax. I was really chilling. I was hard chilling. But he wanted to do more. And so I had another DMT cart. And off the Xanax, I was feeling particularly nice. And I still regret doing this shit to this day. Because he low-key just wasted it. He didn't get any of the effects. He didn't appreciate the DMT. He did to an extent, but not in the way that he could have. You know, not in the way he fully could have on all that medication. And so he is just absolutely chiefing that pen to the point where, like, he had finished it. And by the time he had finished it, it was nighttime, bro. It was getting late, like 10:30, sun was down. And he kept chiefing it. Like, the cart was gone. I don't know if y'all have ever been enough of a fiend with your weed carts where you're like, oh, maybe I can get one extra hit when it's empty. And it, like, fogs up at the sides. Like, that, the DMT cart started fogging up at the sides. Like, this guy was literally inhaling heavy metals. He's like, I'm still getting shit out of this, man. I promise you. Like, he promised me that he was still getting effects. I'm like, all right, bro, go at it. Like, I don't want it at that point. And I was getting tired. I told him I had a welding co-op or a dual credit at a college the next day. He's like, don't worry, bro, I'll give you a ride. And I guess because he told me he'd give me a ride, it was okay in his head to just stay up all night. And it was kind of my own fault. And you see, he was fiending for even more. He wanted more. And he was like, you still got that LSD? And I was like, I do indeed. I used to have a shit ton of LSD, guys. That's why you guys are gonna, you guys are in for a treat. I have so many LSD stories. Like, I've bought like probably 4 sheets of LSD in my entire life, and they're all fucking gone. Now, one of them got burned. That's another story. And the rest of them just got consumed. Like a lot of acid, man. But yeah, so I give him 2 of these tabs, maybe only 1. I'm not too sure. I give him 1 or 2 tabs. And I just wanted him to go just be quiet, and I knew if I gave him enough acid he would shut down and just go in his head, and that's exactly what happened. I finally managed to get him to calm down a bit. These tabs really grounded him, to say the least, and he put on some good music, and we just kind of watched and tripped on that. I hit the DMT cart a few times too. This may have been before or after it ran out. I think it honestly ran out after he put the tabs on his mouth, so this cart was still going. I had a couple hits, nothing crazy, just feeling weird, enjoying the music, the scenery in my room, and decided to call it quits. And he was just, yeah, he just wanted to keep on tripping. I was okay with that, but the problem is he was keeping me up with his music and like my monitor being on. So I decided to pop 2 of these little fucking footballs in the bathroom downstairs when I was using it. And that's what I did. And I came upstairs, and of course I asked after I took him, like, you know, man, how much do you think would be good for sleep? And he's like, oh, with you, like half of one of those things. And I was like, damn, really? I just popped 2. So I took 4 times his recommended dosage. And I knew, like, if you're doing more than that Methhead Bill recommends, then you're in for a fucking treat. And I instantly slumped, like, within like 30 minutes. Woke up the next day. This guy hadn't slept a peep, wide-eyed still. These tabs were strong. And it was time to go. My mom was bewildered. She's like, why the fuck is there a dude sleeping on your floor who I've never met? And I was like, oh, you know, he's giving me a ride to school, don't worry. And because of that, I think she eased up a bit. She's like, all right, well, as long as he's taking you to school. And he took me to school. And the reason he earned this Methhead Bill name is because he offered me meth that day. He had some meth pills. They were pharmaceutical grade, but there was no way I was taking meth pills to wake up. I was still really tired and groggy because I got a shitty sleep and slept on Xanax, and I had welding. I ultimately came to the decision that popping meth pills and welding was probably not a good idea. It was most likely a recipe for disaster, so I ended up just choosing not to do meth. And I've never done meth, guys. I've never done anything too hard like that. I haven't done meth, crack, fentanyl, heroin. I haven't done those things, but I've done pretty much everything else. But anyway, guys, that concludes that story. That was a wild night, man. That was a series of unfortunate events, man, with Methhead Bill. A lot of drugs were done and a lot of drugs were wasted, and it was just hilarious. And I hope you guys do enjoy this story because I enjoyed telling it. But yeah, without further ado, please leave a like and subscribe. You guys know you like the content. Just fucking like and subscribe, seriously. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.